Say what you want, but don't play games with my affection. Take what you need, but don't leave me with no direction. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, from deep in the bowels of our underground lair, where we are more valuable than a 2024 presidential debate.
Hi.
How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I got this itch. Yes. Other than that, I'm fine.
They make creams, I think.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
No, I thought that was never mind what I thought that was. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I guess. It's been
boy, I know that
strange 24 hours, but
but boy, I know that song.
Yeah?
I totally know.
I'm sure you do. It was a big song. I'll even give you a hint. There's a common thread from last episode's song of the week.
Oh, I know it now.
Yeah?
Michael and McCartney.
Yeah, say.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of gave it away there. I wasn't going there. But
really?
Remember Jackson last week, yeah.
Yeah.
But then it hit me that was, that's with Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't sing any of it. I spoke Paul's part there and cut it off if I'd gone on, you know.
Michael Jackson,
I sit home by the phone. Maybe you'd have got it, but
you're not quite Dana Carvey at it, but yeah.
Yeah. I can sing, but I can't impersonate very well.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You can sing an impersonation though, right? By the way, can I ask? Obviously, we're going to talk about last night's debate a lot, but I want to first say something about debates. Jay.
Yes.
When was the first presidential debate you remember watching? Do you know when it was?
Goodness.
You like a teenager? Were you a kid?
This is where your memory gets fuzzy. Because, like, I love... You
and I were both born in the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I loved Reagan in the 80s. I did. I felt bad when they would pick on him. I remember there was a... what was the name of it? There was, like, a puppet show that was on TV. And I remember that... they picked on Reagan a lot. I thought it was a funny show. I still watched it.
Was it Pee-wee's Playhouse?
No. Have you seen the video for Land of Confusion from Genesis?
Oh, a long time ago, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's the same puppets, and I don't remember the name of the show. Anyways, I felt bad for Reagan. I did. I really liked him, and I think that was part of my formation into who I am today. But I never went through that young and liberal phase. I never did.
You ever went through my phase?
But, you see clips of, like, him against Mondale, and you see him enough, and it's like, did I see that? Did I not see that?
Oh, there you go again.
Right. But I don't think I probably paid attention to presidential debates until at least I was old enough to vote. So it was probably Clinton, but...
Okay, so
I do remember, yes, because I remember Perot taking out the charts, and yes, I remember that, yes.
I very much remember 92.
Yeah.
I do remember 88. See, the weird part for me, Reagan's the first president I remember. I don't remember Carter, and technically I was 10 days old when Ford... when Carter took the oath, I was 10 days old, so I was technically born under Ford. January 10th of 77.
Yeah, I was born under
Nixon, right?
I guess.
So but the thing is,
not by much. Yes.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't remember. I remember Reagan as president, but I don't remember the debates. I remember Geraldine Ferraro a little bit, not from debating. I just remember her being picked, and that being kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I remember the Bush Dukakis debates. Because I was so freaked out we were going to have a new president.
Right.
Because Reagan was kind of like,
if
you were a kid, he had that grandfatherly, and my grandparents were from his generation.
Uh-huh.
So there was that calmness that I knew.
Right. Well, and you think about it, though. I mean, your memories as a kid kick in really at a certain age, and you have 8 years of Reagan.
Yeah,
right? Like you had him for your whole childhood,
right,
basically.
My memories kind of kick in around 5 years old.
Yeah,
and that would be 1982. So the whole time from 5 to 12.
That's all you knew.
All I knew was President Reagan.
Yeah.
So I remember the Bush. I was intrigued. Of course, my parents watched it.
Yeah.
And I was intrigued, and I actually went back and watched one of the Bush-Dukakis debates recently. I didn't think Dukakis did so bad. He was boring.
I might have watched that.
Yeah.
I don't have memories of it. Is that where Dana Carvey got a lot of his material from?
I was just going to say, if you watch, I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
But one of them has every George Bush seniorism.
1,000 points of light.
Yeah.
Not going to do it.
Willie Horton, still in jail. Pledge of Allegiance being recited. Pick Dan Quayle for vice president. Made a good selection.
Yeah.
Good selection. I mean, it was what I mean.
I probably did watch it because I found Carvey funny. So
Yeah.
and I got the jokes. So I must have watched this.
Carvey had to watch Mr. Rogers like I
Yeah.
did. That's the voice.
Right.
Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood. That's it right there. And so But if you watch him, he says 1,000 points of light.
Yeah.
He says, stay the course.
Yeah.
1,000 point. I mean, it was just awesome. And the Clinton Perot Bush senior debates were good. Let me ask you this though: of all the debates you've watched, I mean, I've watched. I don't want to say I watched all of them because that's probably not true. I know there was a Clinton Trump one I don't remember seeing. I don't think I watched all of the Bush Gore ones. I was in my early 20s then. I just, but what do you take from a debate? I mean, because one of the things about yesterday, and I want to get into this, is the rift between the pundits and what people are looking for.
Yeah.
When it seems like debates, and I go all the way back to President. Now, look, obviously you and I weren't alive for Kennedy Nixon when TVs first kicked in, and that was the whole where we kind of turned it into a beauty pageant. That no offense, because I thought President Kennedy was a smart guy, and I thought he was a good president.
Yeah.
Although I would have voted for Nixon, but I think the whole, how you look on TV became a big deal.
Yeah.
Your demeanor, your delivery, the things that I don't know who votes on that, but I always listen to. I always hear about the what the so-called experts keep saying, and you go back to that Bush Gore debate where Gore was sighing and making faces. And I blame him for that split screen.
Yeah.
Because if you go back to like Bush Dukakis, Clinton Dole, you never had that split screen. Now we have it all the time thanks to Al Gore.
Right.
Because of his gestures. But I mean, what do you look for in a debate? Now, look, I'm gonna say it straight out. I'm biased a lot when I watch these things.
Yeah,
I will admit that I'm cheering for one side, which is not a surprise to anybody who listens to this. But I honestly want to listen. That's the weird part. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
What do you listen for? What are your takeaways when you watch a debate? What do you want to see?
I guess I want to see that the person that agrees with me the most, I want to gauge their effectiveness, their delivery, not to sway me, because I go into these already knowing who I want, right? I'm sorry, I'm never going to be for certain things. That's not my moral code. I'm never going to say, hey, illegal immigration is great. I think we should put more of them in hotels. I'm never going to say that. That's not my belief.
The great thing about the open borders people is they never say that either.
Well, that's true.
They do it, but they don't say
it. Right. But And we're talking about, once it's one-on-one. I'm not talking about
the primaries
stuff, because I do find those like more interesting because I haven't always chosen a candidate, or I think I have. And then, Trump won me over time in 2016. He wasn't my first pick, but I was solidly behind him by the time he had come through that process, and I began to see how he was governing. I definitely voted for him in 2016. I supported him, but I was with like one eye open, but when he started fulfilling promises and actually doing conservative things,
it had been a while since
right, which is, and we'll get into this later, but which is what floors me about a lot of these never Trumper Republicans, that you have somebody that's actually acting like a conservative and they're crying in the corner. Anyways,
but we'll get to them
in
too.
A debate. I want to gauge. Okay, it's you against the Democrats. Right now, we're in a 50-50 nation for the most part. I would argue we're still center-right. There's a lot of people that don't vote. 25-30% of Christians vote.
I'm shocked at that. I really am. That's right up there with Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, I am really surprised at that. Because I know so many Christians who are active, and I'm very surprised that it's that low.
Yeah, it is, and that's. I'm sorry, but those of you that are and don't, you're a lot of the reason why we have what we have today, because you're not standing up. I'll get into that later too, I'm sure. But I want to know how this candidate that I'm looking to support is able to communicate what he believes to people that are on the edge. Because that's, you and I look at things kind of differently because we're in the strategy business, right?
Oh, sure.
And so we tend to, it's like a coach looking at a football game, right?
They're different.
You don't watch the quarterback. You watch the linemen. You watch how the safeties are lining up. You're looking at the inner mechanics of the play.
That's why I say the best seats at a football game are behind the goalpost.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like you're in a video game watching the play develop.
Yeah,
rather than on the side, your eyes are just on the quarterback.
Right,
like TV.
Yeah, in fact, it's funny. I know I'm getting way off track, but like for my son's football games, like I pace the sideline back and forth, and I'm watching. I line myself up with the ball, and I'm always watching what's going on in the middle, and there's a few other fathers that have kind of taken my lead, and we're all kind of going up.
You're the nomadic fan,
yeah, rather than just sitting in one spot, and so it's kind of.
You guys can be a relay team or something.
But anyways, so we watch debates kind of more like a coach, right? Because we want to get an indication of where the momentum is going. We want to get an indication of, okay, coming out of this, how is our candidate going to be able to line up against the other candidate? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do they need to convey? What kind of things can they capitalize on that the other, candidates' weaknesses? What are the moderators doing? How are the moderators presenting questions? Are they pressing back when somebody doesn't answer a question? Are they fact checking? Are they, there's all these like inner workings of a debate that it's not. Yes, it's what the candidate says, but that's kind of like the quarterback throwing the ball or handing it off to the back, right? Instead, we're paying attention. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of turn for you, but this is how I watch it. I assume to a degree this is how you would watch it too, is that it's about the delivery. It is about watching how the other candidate reacts to what's being said. There's mind games going on. How is each candidate responding to a lot of those mind games? How are they standing up against this or that? So I have a totally different take on a debate than, say, your average viewer.
Now, I'm going to say that you and I are somewhere in between a Washington pundit and an average viewer.
Right.
Because I do see it a lot of times the way you're describing it.
Yeah.
But the one thing that always strikes me is there's something different. There's something very powerful about seeing two candidates side by side.
Yeah.
There's just one of these two people's going to lead our nation. There's one. There's just there's something about that is captivating. I always think about this. I don't care about somebody's pithy one-liners. I don't care about who's baiting who to say what. Those are games.
Yep.
I come out with, what do I remember that person standing for?
Yeah.
And this is a unique election where you have a former president, you have a sitting vice president. So you can argue they've both had, quote, administrations. President Trump a little more, obviously.
Right.
So it's very different than watching, a senator against a governor. It's not the same thing, and when I look at, we'll get to last night in a sec, but I always think to myself, what can I come out knowing? This is why you and I harp on, you got to get a couple points across. If nothing else, they remember this, and this, because you said it 10 times.
Right. And
when I am so baffled by the reaction last night. So I thought Trump did fine. Yeah. And I'm not clear on why he didn't have a perfect night.
No. There were things that he should have said that he didn't.
I think he did. I really think he's got to find an answer for 2020 and the January 6th crap. He has to.
In 2025?
No, the 2020 election.
In
rehab. He has to find a better answer for that.
Absolutely.
And ABC shouldn't be asking that. Quite frankly, there are so many issues facing us. We didn't even get to energy. We didn't even get to the Green New Deal. We didn't even get, because they're obsessed with January 6th.
Yeah.
And Trump should have just said, look, I'm not relitigating that. You all know what I think, and I'm not going to repeat it again here.
Yeah.
You all know what happened on January 6th. It was a protest that whatever happened, I have my ideas on what happened that day, but Trump's not going to persuade anybody by what he says there. It's a lose-lose to even address it.
Yeah.
And he has to find a better answer to that. And I thought that was the one real thing that he has to stop doing is he meanders, and even if he's right, it doesn't matter that he's right.
Right.
That's what it's not a right fighting contest.
Yeah.
He may be right in every damn thing he says, but it's the public has made up their mind of what they think of those things. And they've also told they don't care anymore about it. They care about the future. And he has to find a way to sort of deflecting that, getting that, what? I'm not going to relitigate 2020, but let me tell you about immigration. That's what he has to do it.
Yeah.
And I thought the other miss a little bit, although he did do it at the end, was everything should be tying Harris to Biden.
Yeah.
There should be no distinction between her and the current president. If you're the last person in the room on every decision, then you're going to take the fall, as you can't take credit without taking blame.
Yeah.
Now, I thought he did that later.
Yes.
When he talked about Afghanistan, when he talked about nobody's been fired in this, which I thought he scored points on with that.
Yeah.
Who's held accountable for Afghanistan? I mean, it was a great point he made. That, of course, nobody set it up for him. He had to do it himself.
Yeah.
So I thought he got there eventually. I thought he won the first 20 or 30 minutes. I thought he was well ahead at that point. I thought the middle was where it got and I thought the end, I thought he finished strong. I thought he was strong in Ukraine. I thought he was strong on trying to end these wars. She had no answer for it. And so I honestly thought that, and then afterward, you go to, and this is again, where the people in Washington and New York, I love Britt Hume. I like Dana Perino. She's too much of a country club Republican for me, but I like her take because she's a smart lady.
Yeah.
But Britt Hume and Dana Perino just panned Trump. And I kind of was like, what? And they're all hyper-focused on one or two comments. And I'm just going, this is Donald Trump. Have you not watched him before?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so he said 2 dumb things and 50 good things. What? I take that as a batting average any day of the week.
Right.
Laura Ingraham had a smarter take.
Yeah.
But I was kind of, and then I unfortunately had to listen to Karl Rove, who I don't know what side he's cheering for, to be honest. I'm sort of, look, Rove's a smart guy too, but he's way too inside baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It's way too technical with him. Then I turn on. CBS had a focus group. Fox had a focus group. Reuters had a focus group.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you that the average citizens there had a better, smarter take than anyone I saw on television.
Really?
Britt Hume, Dana Perino, Laura Ingraham, Harold Ford all should have sat down, watched that, and take notes.
Yeah.
Because what they saw and what the people on and CBS tried so hard to help Harris.
Oh.
And the people were having none of it.
Really?
Reuters had 10 people. 6 walked out voting for Trump. 2 walked out leaning to Harris, and the other 2 still weren't sure. That was their 10 undecided voters.
Wow.
And Reuters had like this head-scratching headline. Voters are just not saying what the pundits say. New York Times headline this morning. Pundits think Harris won. Voters not really. It was like...
Really?
The Fox one had 1 person voting for Harris, and everybody else was either on Trump's side or still undecided.
Wow.
And the CBS one, Harris got obliterated.
Really?
It was a Pennsylvania one, too.
Oh, wow.
And they all were like, I don't know anything more. One of the guys goes, I know what Trump's going to do. I wanted to listen to her, and I didn't get anything. She dodged this question. Nobody followed up on that. I mean, I thought to myself, all right, hey, you guys watch that. Do we not, Jay?
Yeah.
Sometimes give the American people the credit they deserve. Do we sometimes think that they're so dumb? Because I was getting nervous.
Some of them are.
I was getting, but I was getting nervous watching Fox. I can only imagine what they were saying on MSNBC. Yep. But they were probably playing with themselves on TV. But do we not give the people credit? Because I have a couple theories on this.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Americans are stupid. I think any stupidity that comes as far as how they vote and all that is really a self-imposed stupidity. If you actually sat and watched the debate last night, open-minded, and you were actually, yes, I was pulling for Trump, but I was able to watch it open-mindedly because of how we watch debates and what we're looking for, and we want to be able to come away saying, oh, this is where so-and-so needs to improve. This is where they have a strength. This is where the other one has a weakness, and without being one-sided about it, we kind of do that. But that's how a lot of these undecided voters come at, they watch it differently than us, but they come at it from more or less a neutral place where they really want to know who to vote for. So if you came at it with that mindset, I don't see how you walk away from that yesterday without saying Harris was rude, she was condescending, she, her like facial, and then laughing, and if you're laughing when there are questions about Afghanistan and you just had 13 people, families of 13 people that died that invited you to an event that you didn't go to, and then you excoriate the former president of the United States who was also invited and actually went and honored them. anyone who is from the military or looks at that should say, she doesn't support the military. He's serious about this. I trust him.
And even Frank Luntz ripped on that.
Yeah.
The alleged Republican pollster.
Right.
Alleged, I say. I love how I thought one of the most powerful moments was when she tried to tout Dick Cheney's endorsement.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because 20 years ago, they wanted Dick Cheney in gray pajamas.
Right.
They wanted to impeach him, imprison him.
Darth Vader, right?
Yeah, lied us into war, which is probably true.
Mr. Halliburton.
Yeah, and now that's touted. And Trump said, and she touted John Bolton, and Trump said, you know what? They worked for me, and I fired them because they didn't do a good job.
It was brilliant.
It was a great comeback. And why doesn't Donald Trump get credit? You know, like we've said this before, but I think President Reagan was the last person to really realign politics for a while. Before that, you'd have to go back to the 60s and back to the 30s, and it was realigned under President McKinley after the Civil War. But every generation or two, we kind of go through this realignment. You know, the Solid South used to mean one thing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, now Trump doesn't have Reagan's personal popularity, but when you look at, if I'm Trump, my other comeback to that could have been, he probably didn't have enough time. But say, oh yeah, well, you know what? 10 years ago, who was Elon Musk voting for? And who was Tulsi Gabbard voting for? And who was Robert Kennedy voting for? And who was, I mean, he has, for every Republican that's led, he also had a great line saying, I got more votes than any Republican in history. And it wasn't close, and that's true.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, what was, I thought that was one of the lines of the night that just, I mean, everyone was speechless after that. I mean, he really came back at her hard.
And here's something that really hit me, and I said this out loud a number of times. Wow, he got the last word on that one. Wow, he got the last word on that one. Wow, he got the last word on that. Almost every single topic, if not every single topic, he got the last word.
Well, Kamala was out of pre-recorded comments.
Right.
But it's also just, I mean, I want to go back to listening to these focus groups because there was one lady on the CNN one, and the CNN guy tried to press her.
Yeah,
and she said, I was leaning towards Trump. I voted for him last time. I just wasn't so sure. But you know what? My life was better under him. He goes, I'm not ideological, but it was just better under him. Period. And I'm going to vote for him this time. And then the host tried to pass her off as not really undecided. Oh, well, you voted for him the last two times, so are you really? I mean, it was kind of like, well, I don't consider myself a Republican or Democrat. Showing you that Trump is getting across that he's breaking that ideological line. It's not just, I don't know how to word it, but when you're getting to people like that who don't consider themselves something, yet they're going to vote for you for the third time. Yeah, you're knocking down doors there. And I saw Tucker Carlson on with Glenn Beck over the weekend.
Yeah,
and Tucker said to Glenn Beck, he goes, "Look, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say I don't think Trump would care, but Trump pays top dollar for his pollsters.
Yeah,
the McLaughlin and Associates, the Insider Advantage guy." I don't think Trafalgar works with Trump or Rasmussen, even though they're considered, quote, right-wing polls, which just means they're not part of the club over at Bloomberg or Quinnipiac and all the other polls that were off by 15 last time. And Carlson goes, you have to trust me when I tell you that he's well ahead. You just have to trust me when I tell you. Why do you think he's in Virginia? Why do you think he's there? No one considers that a swing state. It's like Wisconsin in 2016. He is there because he has internal data that shows that he's either tied in the lead, can win it, blah, blah, blah. And he went on and on and on about, without letting out too much,
Yeah.
And then, meeting that 3 polls came over the weekend, including the New York Times, which is a crappy poll weighted toward Democrats, showing Trump ahead in the popular vote.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the swing is moving slowly. But I got to say something, too. This is one thing that really tells me that is something that I can't believe is not a takeaway from these pundits. If I'm the Harris camp, I wanted to do 2 things, and she didn't do either of them. Okay, 3 things. Maybe she did 1, and that was show that she can go toe-to-toe with somebody. She isn't Joe Biden. She's not dead.
Right.
She can speak 2 sentences together, however rehearsed, whatever.
She's an actual candidate.
Right. She has a pulse, and she stays up
fog
past
a mirror.
She stays up past 5:30. Okay.
Well, the jury's still out on whether Joe Biden can fog a mirror. I just
maybe out the other end. But you know, she accomplished that, and I knew that the media would give her credit for just not being dead. Right. You know, it's kind of like I remember the first Romney-Obama debate, and everybody thought Obama bombed. I didn't think he did, personally. I mean, I thought Romney won on, quote, points like a boxing match.
Yeah.
But I didn't think Obama did that bad. And then the next debate, oh, my God, he was so great. And I thought he did about the same. I heard the same thing. But maybe I don't look at it how they're looking for the pithy one-liners and the laugh line.
Yeah.
And I'm going to set him up, trap him. And it's kind of like, really? That's the...
Yeah.
To me, that's just kind of, God, what are we in 3rd grade? I mean, these are serious issues here, okay? But the other 2 things I think Harris needed to come out with, I really got the first one from the focus group, and that was, you've got to answer some specifics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where she really failed. And CNN had a poll.
Yeah.
Before the debate, Trump was up 16 on the economy.
Yes.
After the debate, he was up 20.
Yeah.
He actually went up after the debate, not down.
I saw that.
Showing you where the people in the pundits saw 2 different debates.
Yeah.
And Mark Penn, who worked for Al Gore and Bill Clinton, and he's now on Fox. Mm-hmm. Penn's not as liberal as them, but he's a fair-minded Democrat.
Yeah.
And he said, look, the number 1 issue among independent voters is the economy, and it's not close.
Right.
And whoever is ahead on that issue will win. He goes, I've talked to these people every day, and 6, 7 out of 10, it's the economy, inflation, affordability, whatever you want to call it.
Yep. Immigration is second.
Immigration second, and I mean, and whatever else is third.
Yeah.
But it's way down the list.
Right.
Now, for people on the right and the left, that may not be the case. But for those people in the middle, economy. And I think she failed at explain. I mean, even if she would have been Bernie Sanders up there, it would have been an answer.
Right.
And I think the frustration is growing with her non-answers and not being specific and not differentiating herself from Biden. And I just think it's kind of like she's becoming an empty suit. And that is the exact opposite thing that she needed to get across. She needed to explain herself and reassure people that she hears them. Mm-hmm. And I don't think she did. I don't think she even attempted to do that. And I'll tell you the other thing, and this isn't all her fault, but the whole facade that she's the media's pick, that they're doing her bidding for her, that they're helping her. I would want to come out of that debate looking like I'm on my own 2 feet.
Yeah.
I'd want to come out of that looking like, nobody helped me, nobody, and I have to blame the moderators for this partly.
Yeah.
But you come out of that, I don't know how you could watch that. That was the worst moderated presidential debate I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Not even close. Not
Terrible.
just because the guy I like got screwed, but it was awful.
It was.
And the topic of the moderators was on Twitter. I mean, they got lambasted. They got crapped on by a lot of these focus groups too, that they weren't talking about the right issues. They didn't hit this or hit that.
Yeah.
There was no follow-up to Kamala. No one challenged her. I mean, it was pretty brutal. And to me, whether she, quote, won on style or, Karl Rove had a hard on or whatever, I don't know. But I didn't see the needle move there. I really didn't.
Now, let me ask this, because the focus groups are saying one thing, but the instant polls are taking afterward are saying that, Kamala handily won that debate. So can you explain a little bit about these polls? Because a lot of the polls that we see, I mean, they're really lagging behind by 1 or 2 weeks because it takes time to get a proper sample size.
Yeah,
right?
That
And these instant polls, they're a little suspect, aren't they?
It depends how you're doing that. I mean, it depends who's in the room.
Right.
I mean, do you have, if you're going to poll 100 people, you've got to have X amount of Dems, X amount of Republicans, X amount of independents to get an accurate answer.
Right. And we don't know how these are weighted, do we?
Not
any of them?
Only if they share them. And like I've said before, with, the New York Times being wrong on their makeup of Arizona voters.
Right.
Off by 8 points.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only one right now that showed Kamala in the lead in Arizona in the last 3 weeks. The polls there have shifted back. And the only thing I can think of is, I think though, like the CNN poll, I think was honest.
Yeah.
Because they were so shocked at it. They were so, holy cow, look at this.
How did that one end up? Can you elaborate?
55-35. A Trump on the economy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about who won.
Okay.
What I saw was the economy one, where he went from plus 16 to plus 20 on the most important issue to independent voters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but the guy at CNN was like trying to stand in front of it so no one could see it. I mean, he was shocked at it.
Yeah.
So instant polls, I mean, it depends how you do it, and it depends on how you ask the question. Who won the debate? If there's no follow-up, there's no that poll doesn't mean anything.
It's a different question than who are you most likely to vote for president.
I think you really need. Look, I think the Republicans think Trump won it, except for the Washington, New York neocons.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the Blaze thought that Kamala won it too, which I thought was odd. I mean, they were really angry with the moderators. They thought it was also the worst moderated debate they've ever seen. But in their after coverage, they really thought Trump didn't do very well.
Huh. What was their... Did they have the same take as the other pundits that we saw?
Yeah, I guess just that... Well, maybe not, but that he was maybe unfocused, that he lost a lot of opportunities to be able to say certain things.
I think he lost a couple.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say he lost a couple.
Yeah.
But I thought he got plenty of swings in.
Yeah.
That was me. I mean, I thought
they got really granular too. It's like, okay, yes, I agree. When the issue came up about the Charlottesville hoax, he should be talking about the PolitiFact and the Snopes rebuttal of that. He shouldn't be mentioning Fox News and all the Jesse Waters, and because people in the middle maybe aren't going to trust that as much as they are, even though it's left leaning, Snopes and PolitiFact.
But people know what they are. Yeah. Maybe. I would also say the moderators could have stepped in. If Trump would have said something dumb or wrong, they stepped in. Trump did deflect things like Project 2025, which I thought he gave a great answer to.
Yeah.
I didn't write it. I have nothing to do with it. I haven't even read it. Which might be true.
I believe it's absolutely true. Yeah. Heritage Foundation does this for every presidential.
They've been doing it for 50 years,
and they hand it to the winner of the president-elect after they win. Doesn't matter what party. That's what they do.
Again, it's another bad job by the media.
Yes.
They should be on top of this. Look, I mean, I guess I don't know what to say about the Blaze. It surprises me that they would look at it the same way that sort of the New York, Washington people would.
Yeah.
They wouldn't look at it because to me, Trump's support got hardened after that. I think it got hardened.
They did say that the people that were already going to vote for Trump, there was no moving them. And likewise, the people they did say the people that were kind of toying with Kamala maybe now feel like she's a viable candidate and they're going to support her. So her
I don't know.
Support might have grown. But,
I watched those focus groups and I didn't see that.
Yeah, which is good.
Which I don't know. I watched 3 of them and it was 70-30 Trump at least. So I don't know. I don't know if in a week anybody's going to care.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing. In the end, I mean, these things really don't sway elections unless you have a Joe Biden moment.
Yeah, and that's the only one I can really think of in recent times. I mean, who else did it to that extent and fumbled that bad?
On the other end, Reagan did it so well that it swung the election against Mondale because...
Carter in particular.
Right.
In 1980. But again, I think Reagan... And I'm not comparing him and Trump, but I think Reagan was a hard guy to poll.
Yeah.
Polling was less sophisticated then, but I think, again, Reagan was a figure that transcended, that realigned politics. So I think he was a harder guy to kind of get a hold of as far as that goes. Everybody thinks Trump's so partisan. I'm like, are you kidding me? How many Republicans he's told to go fly a kite?
Yeah.
Actually, he hasn't done that. They've done it to him.
Yeah.
I think, and I'll tell you what, I got some theories on the John Boltons and Dick Cheneys of the world.
Yeah.
I don't think, because I think to myself, okay, if they don't like Donald Trump, whatever. Dick Cheney's not liked by either party.
Right.
I can't imagine, Liz Cheney's liked by nobody. I can't imagine either one of them, an undecided voter. I think a Robert Kennedy or a Tulsi Gabbard is an active person like that has much more sway. But do you think part of this with Cheney in particular is a fear that Trump's going to release everything from the CIA and the Iraq War and 9/11, and we're going to see it all now, and we're going to see what. We already know Cheney didn't tell the truth.
Right.
But to what extent didn't he tell the truth? And I think
it's threefold. I think it's the deal with his daughter. I think it is that he's going to release a bunch of stuff and that just might implicate, because he wants to expose the deep state for what it is and raise it to the ground.
Right, and he doesn't care if there's an R or a D by anybody's name.
And the other thing is, Cheney's a globalist.
Yeah.
And Trump is so much not a globalist. He's a nationalist, and not a socialist nationalist, right?
Big difference.
Or national socialist. He is a nationalist in favor of the republic, in favor of true...
I know what you're saying.
True capitalism, and it's his America First policy and his threat to tear down the globalist network and make truly America a country that can stand on its own 2 feet again and not have to rely on the rest of the world and what they're doing.
So there's a lot
that
to
scares
lose.
them. Yes.
There's a lot to lose from
They'll be starting over from ground zero if he is able to have his way. I'm not going to say every last vestige of the progressive era till now is going to be ripped out, but I am going to say that it's really going to set them back quite a ways.
Okay, this is the way I look at it. The CIA has had no oversight since the Church Committee in the 70s.
Yep.
Why don't we just say that out loud? They've had no oversight since then. The congressional stuff that's supposed to be overseeing them works with them.
Right.
To keep everything secret.
They come in and they don't answer questions.
Right. Or they don't want to be next. They don't want to be the next RFK or Tucker Carlson. They don't want anybody hacking their phone or surveilling them or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think Trump is going to do what I think he wanted to do it. I think he had some bad people around him.
Yeah.
The John Bolton's, the Mike Pompeo's. I think
he admits that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and I think they talked him out of it, and I think he's gonna get in. I think, and you know what? It should come out. I mean, can I just say this?
Yeah.
Why do we have 1 billion classified documents in this country? Why is it that everything about 9/11 is locked in a box somewhere, and we can't see it for 75 years?
Yeah.
Could it be so everybody there was dead by then?
Right.
Like we did with President Kennedy? Nobody can be held accountable now because they're all gone.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever happened on 9/11, I'm not alleging anything. I'm just saying I don't believe we've been told the whole truth.
No.
I'd like to know how we knew all those hijackers at 3:30 in the afternoon. It is a little suspicious to me. Just a little. I'm not alleging anything. I'm just saying there's so many unanswered things from that time period and the time period before that.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the 90s with the U.S. coal and the embassy bombings in Africa. And, you know, I want to know what is the harm in us knowing what our government knew 30 years ago?
Right.
And don't give me this sources and methods crap. This isn't a James Bond movie, okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, we deserve that. And I think you're right. I think the deep state, which is both parties, I think they're very afraid right now.
Yeah.
And you can see the jitters, too. I mean, do you think if Dick Cheney thought Trump was going to lose, he'd come out and do something?
Right.
Or he'd just hide out in Wyoming?
Right.
He knows where the wind's blowing. Well, say what you want about Cheney. He's no political rookie.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, and I'm sure he still talks to somebody. So, I mean, there's a reason. Because if I'm Dick Cheney, you know, and I can understand that he doesn't like Trump. Why you'd endorse Harris only tells me it's in your self-interest.
Yes.
That's the only thing I can come up with.
Absolutely.
If you claim you're conservative, there's nothing conservative about her.
Right. No, and that's why it's come down to this globalist versus nationalist tug of war. It's the elites versus everybody else.
Right, and this is where Trump has been a transformational figure.
Yes.
Because Trump's from that class, which is the weird part.
Yeah, but he was never...
Not that class. I mean, he's from... He could be an elite if he wanted to be.
Right.
And chose not to be.
But he was always like
always a
out.
rebel. He was always a...
He was always a rebel. He wasn't ever really schmoozing with the government people to the degree that he was schmoozing with
no, he usually told
boxers.
Told him to F off is what he usually told him.
Yeah, you know, but yeah, I mean, even, you know, in the early days, he was kind of going toe to toe with like the New York City Council over how to build his buildings and all that. So I think he had a healthy distrust of the government, and
who knows what he dealt with in New Jersey.
And he's always loved America.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird. I mean, he will go down as the most significant political figure, I think, so far in this century. I think even outdoes Barack Obama, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I know people say Obama being the first, I don't want a mixed president. Can we say that? I mean, his mom was whiter than I am. I mean, can we just say, you know, he really...
I don't think she was an albino.
Yeah, but he wasn't that black. I mean, I don't want to get into that kind of debate. First minority president, that's all. And people thought that was, you know, and it certainly did. It certainly was, you know, certainly knocked down.
That is historic. You can't take that away from him.
No doubt about it. But I don't think Obama had the impact Trump's had. I really don't.
No. I
forget who I agree with.
I guess if you look at it, Trump came in and undid a lot of Obama stuff other than Obamacare, which is still just terrible. And
which you can blame our Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell for that.
Right. However,
he would have had they done their jobs.
Exactly. But then, so, I mean, the effect of Obama's presidency, a lot of that had gone away. Now, a lot of it had come back afterwards because some of Trump's stuff got undone, right? And I would say that Trump was a very consequential president, but then so has Biden been in the opposite direction.
Yeah, there's a case to be made for that.
You know,
whoever is the president,
he is probably the worst president we've ever had.
Yeah.
I know guys like O'Reilly will say it's Buchanan. I know that a lot of people think Jimmy Carter, and I understand that. I know some people say Woodrow Wilson. I understand that. You know, these
Franklin
are all
Pierce. He's got to be up
Franklin Pierce. Yeah. You know, these are all terrible presidents. Yes, absolutely. But I think Biden takes the cake.
Yeah, I agree, because we're not living with Franklin Pierce's mistakes anymore.
Right. We overcame those.
Yeah, we overcame Kansas. We overcame that stuff. I guess Dred Scott was under Buchanan, but
yeah,
I mean, we've overcome that stuff. I'm gonna say that. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, because Biden is so recent.
Yeah,
I think you may be right on that it is. I mean, Carter, with all due respect, other than Iran and growing the size of government departments,
and the recession and the inflation, the stagflation,
some of that was there.
Yeah,
some of that was already there.
Yeah,
he certainly made it worse.
Absolutely,
but I don't think I can blame him for all of that. He certainly
didn't know how to fix it.
Look, he certainly stunk. Okay, there's no doubt about it. And there's things about Jimmy Carter I respect as a human being.
Yeah.
And there's things, I love the quote that he hopes he stays alive to vote in this election. I'm like, well, Jimmy, you ought to move to another state because then your vote would count no matter what.
Right.
You know, Georgia might not, because they've changed a lot of rules. But,
right. Right. They've cleaned up the voter rolls.
Yeah, you can't.
A little bit.
You can't put your vote in a church pew and then die the next day and have it counted. So yeah, I think Biden's certainly up there, whoever the president is, and someday we'll figure that out. Someday when we're dead, and unless Trump wins and everything is, I think he lets everything out. But personally, I think they should be put on trial. I think they should be, and I can't believe those questions weren't asked last night either.
Yeah,
what did you know about President Biden's condition?
Yeah,
I mean, you said in March, April, May, he was running circles around what happened.
Right.
And I at least would like to have heard the answer.
Yeah. What did you know? How long did you know it? And why didn't you do anything when it became a problem?
I still stand by my theory.
Yeah.
That she was willing to take him out as long as she became the candidate.
Yeah.
And there was no open convention.
Yeah.
I still think that's the most likely scenario based on everything that's happened.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know, because I really don't think the Obamas like her, and I don't think she was their pick, but I think they were willing to come and they worked it out.
No, he was willing to stab Biden in the back, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely zero. And to whatever extent the Clintons were involved or Clinton's people, who were all still there, by the way. I mean,
Obama's people are all still there.
Yeah, it's the only bench.
Valerie Jarrett and
So, yeah, I mean, so I want to get back to the debate for a second here. So, I'm going to ask you a question that I asked you a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Will there be another one? Now, Fox News will re-put out an invitation.
Yeah. I don't see her taking
Trump
that.
agreed to an NBC debate that she still won't agree to.
Yeah.
Do we have to have another one? I think we should, just because I'm a believer in these, because again, I like to see, as a junkie, I like to watch this stuff.
Yeah.
But
we've got to have honest
moderators. Does Trump
want
to do one?
Well, I don't know about that. Did you hear his answer last night?
Well, I think he will. I think he likes the. Will he?
Yeah.
This is how he stays in the news.
Yeah.
If he just says yes, it's a non-story.
Right.
If he says, "Well, I'll talk about it." Well, now Nobody's talking about the last debate. We're all talking about the next one.
But did you hear how he talked about it?
No, I didn't. Was he on with Hannity, or what was it?
Because Trump might have been.
Trump wandered into the spin room and started taking questions in there. That was great.
Exactly.
I thought it was great.
She's partying in the next room.
She took off as soon as possible.
But I'll have to paraphrase it, but he basically said, the person who wants another debate right away is always the loser.
That's probably true.
Just like in a boxing match, the loser wants a rematch right away.
Exactly.
So that is how he sees it.
Well, I still think he'll do it because I think he's good at it and loves it. And I am concerned about it, though. I mean, I'm not so much concerned about him, but I'm concerned that, this is the other thing. This is what pisses me off about a guy like Karl Rove. Karl Rove goes, Trump went into ABC. He should expect this and expect. Why should he expect that?
He should expect to be treated fairly.
He's the former president of the United States. He ought to be treated. CNN was able for an hour and a half to at least pretend to be fair.
Yeah.
Why couldn't these people have called up Jake Tapper and Dana Bash? Two people I don't like that much, but at least they tried to be fair.
Yeah.
They didn't. Again, the worst moderators are the ones you remember.
Yeah. Exactly.
The worst umpires are the ones you remember. You don't remember the good umpire because it did affect the game.
Right.
So, I just think that I don't know what to do. I don't know how to go on an NBC debate if I'm Trump. I mean, I think he'll do it. I don't think say question, he'll do it.
Yeah.
I think he'll rumble. He'll make a little news. And
right.
At the end of the day, he'll go. No offense, but Trump, you can't get in front of him in a TV camera.
Yeah.
So, which is good. I think that's good. And so I think there will be, but I what I would like to see is the debate more like on one subject or two.
Yeah.
Like, why don't we have a debate just on the economy?
That's how some of these others are done. Yeah. Each one has a focus.
Right. There's
why
a
they
foreign
do 3.
policy one and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because to me, if you're going to get details, you're not going to get it with the 1 minute rehearsed answer.
Right. Why watch the same debate 3 times?
Yeah,
why not have 3 separate debates on 3 separate topics?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So, I just, or it could be on 2 subjects. First half is on the economy. Second half's on foreign policy. I don't know.
Yeah.
They could certainly do that. And
another one on immigration. And although she, here's the thing, she stinks on both of those. So she wouldn't want to do that. Right. There's no hiding
on abortion and
yeah,
which I'm also frustrated that keeps coming up. I mean, it's like, how many times does Trump have to say, we overturned it in the Supreme Court, so the states, there's not going to be a federal thing on it.
This is a state issue.
It's the 9th and 10th Amendments. We've followed the Constitution, and you get to vote. Why does he have to say that over and over and over?
Right.
How many times he got to say? I feel like he says that every 5 minutes. Why are we still asking about it?
Yeah.
And Harris was asked about it, never gave an answer.
Oh, no.
It wasn't followed up on.
That was one of his best questions of the night when Trump turned to her and went, what is it, 7 months? 8 months? 9 months?
And Trump got slammed again.
Well, that doesn't ever happen. Yeah, it does.
But he got slammed too. People say, Harris was strong in abortion. What? I mean, what can Trump say on that issue? What could he possibly have said?
Well, I've changed my mind to kill them all.
I don't know what
that make you happy.
Yeah, I don't know what he could have said that was any different than the whole goal. And this is also what I don't understand about these Republican pundits. For 50 years, we've tried to do what President Trump accomplished.
Yeah.
And that was overturn it and bring it to the states.
Yep.
We've been trying to do that since the 70s. Now it finally happens. Donald Trump gets no credit for it.
Nope.
0. I mean, nothing from these people. I mean, he did what Reagan couldn't love Reagan, but he couldn't do it either. Okay. I don't have to talk to you about David Souter and all these other appointments.
When you have the Bushes who put liberals into the Supreme Court.
And so finally he puts in the right people. They finally apply the law 50 years and 20 million babies later.
Yeah.
You know, and why aren't they happy about it?
I don't get it. And they allow these statements to stand like, oh, the president handpicked these Supreme Court justices. That's his job. Literally in the Constitution, it is his job to handpick the Supreme Court justices. They are then sent to Congress
for confirmation.
Confirmation, but he literally handpicks the nominees.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I don't know.
I'm speechless. I mean, these people act like they have never, and maybe they haven't ever actually read the Constitution, but they play everybody off for idiots. It's like, no, I'm sorry. That is actually his job.
And the other thing I like is how Trump is on the offensive on the issue.
Yeah.
He's on the offensive.
Right.
Talking about how it's the Democrats who are extreme.
Right.
It's the Democrats with late-term abortion. Well, I'm for the exceptions. I'm for letting the states decide how many weeks they're willing, if any.
And what have we been talking about since, now for 2 years after the Republicans got trounced 2 years ago when there was supposed to be a red wave because the Democrats made it all about abortion and they did nothing to paint the Democrats as extreme on that issue. We've been talking about it for probably 3 years, the year leading up to that election, and then since.
Trump's literally listening. Trump's listening to our show.
He might be.
I mean,
call
seriously, because
you got my number. Call me.
Because I was so frustrated by that in 2022. It's like, why aren't we? Why aren't we listening to him and how he's doing? He's being effective in it. He comes across as reasonable.
Yeah.
I'm for the exceptions. I'm leaving the rest of the states. I'm totally against anything late term.
Yeah.
And whatever's in the middle is what we're letting states decide.
Right.
That's the position. Because my position and my personal position on abortion is I wish there was never one. That's but my goal is to reduce abortions.
If we can save one life, it is worth it.
I mean, if abortion went down by like 50% in this country, everyone should be happy about that.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I'm not naive enough to think abortions are never going to happen. I know there's some people who oppose it no matter what. I respect that. But from a policy standpoint, I think you have to sort of just accept that some bad behavior is going to happen.
Right.
And you just have to mitigate it as much as possible. And that's just my pragmatic view on it. Now, personally, I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. I would never do it. I would never encourage anybody to do it.
It is murder.
It's hard to argue it's not, in my opinion.
But and here's the thing. I can understand where people who A, haven't done the research, or B, trusted in the media, or C, learned it in school and just took it for granted, or whatever, have come to the conclusion that, that's not a life yet. That's a clump of cells. At some point, it will become a life. I can understand that point of view. I don't agree with it at all. And I will monster because you have that point of view. If you all of a sudden, changed your worldview and, and you kept that, we'd have to have some discussions. But yet they don't give us the same
respect,
just that we're
you're
actually,
a Bible thumping.
They don't think that we can possibly honestly think that is a life that we want to save. We just want to shut down the mother.
Well,
we want that mother to be punished with a baby, and that's not it. If you saw somebody that was in process of dying, whether from a heart attack, they were drowning, they had just been hit by a car, whatever, you would do whatever you can to save that person. Most people, you would have some cowards that run away, or people that are squeamish with blood that would have a hard time. And I'm not cascading you. You see it as a life.
Some people freeze under deer in headlights.
I'm not talking about those people, but almost all people would say that's a life. We need to save it. That is how we actually feel about babies in the womb.
Yeah.
And you don't give us the benefit of the doubt that that's what we actually think, and we're not trying to punish women because of it.
I gotta say too, as somebody who's not a parent, it is, it's. There's so many days I wish I was, or I wish I had the chance to be. And to see the abortion numbers is just, I know people who've had miscarriages.
Yeah.
And
that's tragic.
And it's like what they would do for another kid.
Yeah.
And that's where it really, really hurts me, is to see that.
Yeah.
Look, Trump's right too when he says, look, it's an issue that's been tearing us apart.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I can't blame young people for it either, because I hear young people calling it a fetus. Well, where did they get that?
Yeah.
They didn't come up with that. They were taught it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people weren't raised with any kind of spirituality. That isn't their fault either. Maybe they'll discover it as an adult, but, like you get a choice when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, whether you go to church or not. It's not up to you.
Yeah.
So, some people weren't raised with those values, unfortunately, as we continue to,
But it's an issue if we were able to see it as, okay, you don't see this the same as me from either side, and I disagree with you, and I will fight for what I believe, but I'm not going to make a monster out of you. I think we could have a much more honest debate on it, and I think that we could make some progress about, okay, the line shouldn't be at 9 months. Let's figure out something that we can all work with, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I think also I have such an issue with this being like a women's rights issue.
It's not.
It so bothers me because first off, it takes two people to parent a child.
Yep.
Okay, can I just say that straight out?
Sure.
It's, and I support women doing whatever they want to in life, but taking another life is not your right. Let me tell you something. If a dog just gave birth or was about to give birth, would we kill the puppies? Who would do that? So if you wouldn't do that, why is it? I just think about things like that. We wouldn't do that to an animal.
Yeah.
Hell, we wouldn't do it to a freaking snake, but we'll do it to a unborn child. That's called progress.
Here's my view on this: is that I believe that it is a life. And you have that life inside of another person. Well, it's my body, my choice. Well, no, you have another body inside of your body. That's not your body. That is actually the body of another sentient human being.
We didn't ask to be put there.
Right. And so as much as you, as an individual, don't like the next level of government up from self, say the family government, to... Let's say you're an unwed teenage pregnant lady. All right, teenage girl. You're pregnant, and all of a sudden your parents are telling you you're going to do this with it. You're going to have it and give it up for adoption, and you're never going to see it. You would be like, hold on here. You're telling me what I'm going to do? Now, you're the parent. You have a baby inside of you. You are bringing the tyranny of family government over the tyranny of family government over individual government and that baby's will to exist by its sheer being there and staying alive.
Boy, that's deep, Jay. That's deep.
That's what I do.
Well, behavior has consequences too. I mean,
yeah.
we just say that too.
Absolutely.
And I think there's also, we have to ask ourselves why we have these issues. Why do we have so many children outside of marriage? Why do we have?
Look at the sex education programs. Look at things like TikTok. Look at how their music stars dress and what's in their TV shows. The decline of
religion.
Yes, nobody's going to church.
I mean, that's a huge factor. If you're not raised with, I look at the parents who are busy watching Netflix instead of what their kids watching.
Right.
I tell you, I didn't have a TV. I got a TV in my room. I bought one.
Yeah.
When my parents were so mad, my dad was ready to throw me out the window upstairs. He was so pissed off. But like my mom said to him, well, Jim, you said you want a TV, go save your money and buy your own. Well, he did that.
Yeah.
So he at least learned something.
I had one in my room, but it was black and white. And we didn't have cable.
Yeah, I had a 13-inch Emerson.
Yeah.
And back when we had cable, okay, understand, I want young people to understand what cable was in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Okay? That was ESPN, that was the History Channel, that was what was it? MTV, the Nashville Network.
VH1.
I know we got TNN because we're watching Dukes of Hazzard.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
Confederate flag.
CNN.
TNT, TBS, the Turner channels,
USA
was wrestling.
Yep.
I mean, that's what I was watching.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted cable so I could watch baseball.
Right. And I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, same era, but this is Duluth, so it's a little different. My grandma had cable. And for my birthday or Christmas or something, we were supposed to get cable. Appointment was set up. The guy shows up like an hour late, and he's like, "Oh, I thought you were on the blah 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 Avenue North down in Morgan Park. Yeah, you don't have cable up here. We don't have any lines." Oh, awesome. I lived on a dirt road.
Yeah,
and
no
it's
dish back then.
Yeah. Well, there were dishes, but they were the size of my car. They were huge.
To go on your roof. Yeah.
Right.
And if you can't point south without something in the way, you can't do it either. So things we had to do, Jay. I'll tell you.
They got it so easy nowadays.
Well, it was just, I just remember, it was just a simpler time. I didn't care. I mean, my mom always said to me, I remember in the summer, because nobody ate more cans of tomato soup or had more grilled cheeses than I did. That was like always my lunch. And by noon, I was out playing ball somewhere. She's like, you know what time your father gets home?
Yeah.
I didn't have a care in the world. I didn't want to sit around and watch TV.
I would be out playing in the woods. I'd take my bike, down the road. I'd take the trails over to the speedway.
Yeah, go up to Schindler's, get my baseball cards.
Yeah.
And my horrendous stick of gum that had been in there for 2 months.
Yeah. Hard as a brick. It would just break in half.
That
right?
gum, that gum could have sawed a cabin or something. Sometimes they were so tough. Oh. Okay, so let me just play this out here. We kind of see the debate. I didn't know if you saw it the way I saw it, by the way, when I got here. I'm disappointed though with the Wall Street Journal. What has happened to that?
Yeah, it used to be known as at least fair, if not conservative.
Bill Kristol's still there?
I don't know.
God, it's terrible.
Yeah. It's been taken over by lefties.
Well,
for sure.
I don't know what's happened to it, but it's ugly. It's just horrid, and I'm disappointed at the take because, at I thought Trump more than held his own.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. And I really think, what Mark Penn said, he was on Sean Hannity's. Mark Penn used to work for Clinton and Al Gore, like I mentioned, and he talks about economy.
Yeah.
People think they were better off in the Trump years. That's just a fact.
Yep.
And that's for those people in the middle, that's the number one issue. And if that dial doesn't change, then nothing's going to come out, nothing's going to sway out of that election, that debate at all.
And if there is another debate, I really would like to see Trump ask that question. Were you better 4 years ago, or are you better now? Were you better 4 years? Every time. And just say, she said that the Bidenomics is working over and over again. Is it working for you?
Yeah.
Is it working for you? Were you better 4 years ago, or are you better now?
Quite frankly, I thought he got there last night.
Yeah.
I thought his closing was really good.
Yes.
I
wish that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but I thought what he did say was super effective.
Yeah, and it stuck because I saw that in the focus groups too.
Yeah.
I saw her. Look, whatever Trump said stuck with people. Whatever she said was kind of
Yeah.
Don't remember, didn't get an answer. That was kind of the response. And so I'm kind of miffed at how she somehow won that. Now, look, I guess if you're just looking at it from
she riled him up or whatever.
I don't think she
I don't think she did
I
either.
thought the moderators did. But
Yeah.
I don't think she did. I think he acted like she wasn't there.
Yeah. He took the bait is what they say.
And I don't think he did. I only thought that happened on the 2020 January 6th stuff.
Yeah.
I thought other than that, I don't understand that. I thought his answers on Ukraine, I thought were effective.
Yep.
I thought that he exposed, so she has no answer for it.
Yep.
I really thought that Afghanistan, I thought he hit that several times. I don't understand. I don't understand what the problem was.
Yeah. I mean, I just think
they don't like Trump. They
Yeah.
don't like how he comes across. He's not Mr. Republican who just stands there and lets the Democrat.
Right.
Trump fights, and they're not used to that, and they should be used to him, but they're still shocked when they watch how relentless and tough he is.
Right.
And instead of cheering him on, they act all offended by it.
Yeah.
That's to me, they're still looking at debates like this is the Bushes and the Doles, and why do you want to go back to that? I don't know. I don't understand that.
Yeah. No, we need to go back to like Jefferson v. Adams.
I don't know if I want to go back that far because I don't want to give TV up. But
right. Well, I mean, how they went to head against each other. That was those were not kind debates.
No, not at all. And I mean, you've got the Jackson John Quincy Adams. How about that?
Yeah,
that's pretty brutal too. But overall, just sort of a disgusting, boring debate at the end. I know it's not boring, but a debate that I don't think moved the needle. And if anybody moved it, I think Trump moved it. Because I'm going to tell you why. Like I said before, because his voters are so mad. Like I follow a lot of Trump people in that on Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're so pissed off. They're so angry. I wouldn't be surprised if he raised $20 million last night. I mean, I really think there's a, I mean, I don't recall in my lifetime a group of people wanting to get to the polls more.
Yeah.
They just can't. If they could vote 50 times for him, they would.
Yeah.
So, and I think that intensity's even higher right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're right. When he was talking about Ukraine, he was like, did you guys ever go talk to Putin? No. And no wonder this thing isn't solved.
She didn't even, she was asked if she met Putin. She dodged that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, why are there no negotiations? Why aren't we trying to stop this killing? I don't know what the negotiation for it is, but we got to talk. How long are we going to give one side a blank check who's clearly losing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it, but it's true.
Yeah.
What are we doing in the Middle East?
Yeah.
We're provoke. I mean, Iran is, and I.
Yeah. And he hit the nail on the head with that too, with all the cash they gave him.
I know. So I don't know. I thought he was effective on that. That's just me, but you think being staunchly pro-Israel would get praise from these people, and it doesn't.
No.
What could he have said? What? Let's end this. Find something else to talk about next week.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think the public will move on pretty quick. But
I do too. I think that has a very short shelf life.
Yeah, I just hope there's another one. I really do. And I think Trump will agree to it.
Yeah. It would be nice if they would agree to do 2 more, one on Fox, one somewhere else. Yeah. Although, Fox and Friends this morning, he was on and he said, "Yeah, I don't want that Martha McCallum and Brett Baer. I want like Laura and Hannity."
That was Trump being Trump.
Yep.
He was just making news.
Yep.
God, I love how he drives people nuts.
Oh, I know.
But I mean, God, did the guy go to bed? I mean, that show's on at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And he was up with Hannity until, did he go to sleep?
I don't know.
I know one guy who doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
Styling and profiling, jet flying, limousine riding with our sign-off sermon. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Jason Bradley, take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. Praise the Lord. I'm telling you what. This is an important election. We keep hearing that every single election season now for how many? This is the most consequential election season of our time. Well, they have been more and more and more consequential because as we get closer to giving up our freedoms to become part of a global order, the left is becoming more and more voracious, and they're putting in more and more radical people. We have to figure out a way to put the brakes on this. And we don't do it by staying home. I'm sorry. 25, 30% of Christians voting? That's ridiculous. And it's sorry, and you should be ashamed of yourself if you're not going out and making a difference. You can make a difference on getting people in there that will take care of the things that are important to you. Yeah. Oh, I don't like Trump's tweets. I don't like his personality. So what? You're not voting for a pastor. You're not voting for a pope. You're voting for a president of the United States. You need somebody that's going to go in and fight and take care of business with people like Iran, like North Korea, like Putin, like whoever's running the Palestinian Hamas, the Houthi rebels. We know that's Iran. Hezbollah, we know that's Iran. You need somebody that's going to step in and go toe-to-toe with Xi in China. You need somebody like that. And we have had people that are too milquetoast for too long. And when you people don't vote, I would argue that you are not doing the will of the Lord. I mean, if I can just speak to you Christians for a moment that aren't voting. If you look at the beginning of the Bible, until King Saul was installed, Israel never had a king. It was their relationship with God directly. Now, they operated more like a republic. They had Moses who represented them, and then he had people under him that were in charge of thousands and hundreds and 50s and tens. It's kind of the way that we operate. In fact, that's how they designed it, was after that system. And then from the time that they put King Saul in, and really the nations around them that had kings before that. And you had kings and tyrants and whatever all throughout history in just about every nation on earth. And that's what Europe was used to because that's what they came from. And we set up a different form of government based on biblical standards. Now, if you as a Christian are coming along and saying, I don't care about this, I'm not going to get involved in government, I'd like to challenge you to see how many books you think are about government in the Bible. You know, you had Joseph in Genesis. You have Moses, who throughout the next number of books is leading the nation of Israel out of Egypt and into the Promised Land. You have the books of First Kings, Second Kings. Maybe that sounds a little more like political, right? Because it has king in the title. First and Second Chronicles also lists a number of kings and what they did. You have books like Nehemiah, who was a government emissary to the king of Babylon. And you have Daniel, who was brought into captivity and was working for the king, as well as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Remember those stories? They were servants of the king. You have throughout the Bible issues dealing with government. And you people want to say, we don't belong in government. I'm sorry, you're wrong. God cares about government, about good government. In fact, he says that you need to pray for those that are in leadership among you so that you can live peaceable lives. But he also says, and this gets twisted all the time, when you look at Romans 13 and they tell you you've got to submit to your government. No, what it says, and this is what it even says in the Greek. So this is the original meaning. It says governing authorities. The governing authority of the United States of America is the Constitution of the United States of America. It is not the President of the United States. It's not the Senate. It's not the Supreme Court. It's not the House of Representatives. It is the Constitution. So anybody that is making a law that violates the Constitution of the United States is in violation of Romans 13 because they are not subjecting themselves to the governing authority of the land. We live in a republic. We don't live in a monarchy. It works differently. And you need to understand the form of government that you have enough to be able to make those decisions. Paul was known for his knowledge of his civic rights. And you need to be as well, because our country is slipping away from us. And if you decide that you're going to sit this one out, then this is on your head as well. Whatever happens in the next 4 years, if we have a Kamala Harris as president, is on you just as much as it's on the Democrats that vote for her. Yeah, I'm not being kind, am I? Actually, I am. I'm not being nice. There's a difference. Not being nice is the Jesus who goes into the temple, turns over the tables, but yet he was kind because he knew how to deliver the nation of Israel in a spiritual sense. But God has given us a gift here, one that we need to be good stewards of. In the garden in Genesis, man was asked to be a good steward of what he was given, to exercise authority over the Garden of Eden. Later, Jesus gives a parable of the talents and for what people have, for their responsibilities. Are they good stewards of that? And if they are, they'll be given more responsibility. Otherwise, everything will be taken from them. Guess what? We're on the verge of everything being taken from us. And if you think that's not a judgment for our decisions, if you think that's not a judgment for our lack of enthusiasm, our unwillingness to do what we've been asked to do, and if you think that that's not sinful to stay home when God has given you a gift and you abuse it, then you need to think again. Yeah, I'm a little miffed. A little hot under the collar when it comes to this, because I'm tired when we have the numbers to change things back to the way they're meant to be, and we don't do it. It's not about having dominion. It's about ensuring freedom for everybody, no matter what you believe. It's not about setting up a theocracy. It is about making sure that everybody who comes to this country has the opportunity to work hard, to follow their dreams, and to build a life for themselves, whatever they believe. We're in a hole, and it's time that we stand up and we act like it. Like we know the time is short, and we need to make the most of it. It's up to you. You have a decision to make here and now today. You in? You out. You're part of the solution. You're part of the problem. It's up to you. All we can do is tell you what we know, try to convince you, and hope that you see the light. We love you, Minnesota, but it's your turn to get out and work.